James tell us a little about the technologies and innovations for the cannabis or for any flowers.
Okay, so most of our products, we started off with EC and pH meters that measured the nutrient level and the pH of solution. We do dosing for hydroponic systems and then also nutrient dosing systems. We do monitors as well, which monitor what's going on continuously and do data logging. But as the market has moved away from hydroponics and into substrate, we've also developed tools which measure the pH in substrate. This probe will measure in substrate and in solution. And then this is our pulse meter, which also measures the nutrient level, so EC of your substrate, and also the moisture level and the temperature.
So three different
So our new pH probe gives you a pH reading in under 10 seconds. It's very fast. It works in relatively low moisture levels. And the pulse meter, it works in a different way to normal EC meters. So it uses radio frequencies and actually measures an area about this kind of size, like a large can of tomatoes.
Can we use it also for water, for our nutrition in the water, or it's only for soil?
No, you can use it, so you can set it to whatever media you like. So for solution, for cocoa or a mixed soil, you can also calibrate it to your own substrate. And when you're calibrating it, you're not calibrating it like a pH meter. You're telling the meter what 100% water saturation looks like in your substrate, and that will change depending on the kind of substrate. So what you do is you set your minimum and your maximum range for nutrient and for moisture, and then as a grower, it just shows you your out in range. This will be green or out of range. So the idea is you go down your pots, you just everything's okay, and then you hit a problem, and you can then monitor what that reading was on your app, on your phone.
Already transferred the information?
Yeah, this works with Bluetooth.
Okay, great.
And the idea of this is really, it's quite simple. If you've got all your pots pumping in the correct range for nutrient and for moisture and for pH, you're going to have a uniform crop, you're going to have uniform growth, and you're going to have higher yields.
Yes.
Regardless of what you're growing. So that's
the highest result.
That's really the simplicity of what it is, really.
Do I need one device for 10 plants, or do I need more devices? 10 devices for 10 plants?
Yeah. So this is just a spot checking tool.
I can.
So you would go. You would select the pots you want to test, and then what's very important is you need to have consistency of your measuring. So you need to make sure you're measuring at the same depth, roughly in the same position in the pot, and at the same time in your irrigation cycle. So either before, during, or after. And that way you can add consistency to your readings, and you'll be able to compare data much easier.
But you have something more here, I can see.
Yep, so we started off with... Bluelab started about 30 years ago. This was a meter we started with. This is our trunction. This just simply measures EC, but it's incredibly easy to use. So this is a nutrient strength of 2.77. You put it in, and it simply reads. It's an analog meter. If it was 2.9, it'd be flicking between 2.8 and 3.
And how much is the price for such technology?
This is just shy of €100, but it has a 5-year warranty. It's very durable. Film this.
So you can throw it.
I wouldn't advise it, but just a very durable meter.
Yeah, great.
And I have customers who have these. This is like the version 2. Our first one was made by when a company was called New Zealand Hydroponics. I still go into retailers and they have them up on the wall. We take them down, we replace the batteries, give it a clean, and it's perfect. So although it's a little bit more money than a generic EC meter, this will be the only one you need. And it's very cool. So it's completely waterproof. You stir your tank, you're adding in your nutrients, the lights are coming in through the water.
Oh, so it's still for many reasons to use.
So it's a very good meter.
Yeah.
Standard batteries. And then we have our handheld pH meters. Our combo meter is very popular. And that again has a 5-year warranty, the probe 6 months. But again, it's not particularly flashy, but it does exactly what you need it to do when you need it to do it. So this is our standard combo. So it's just pH, EC, the temperature probe sits in here, temperature.
Great.
It's just a very basic meter, standard batteries. So if you run out of power in the middle of the night, you just go and raise your remote control of your TV. No specialist batteries. Backlit screen, it's very basic, it's very durable.
How much is this device?
These are about 260 euros plus tax. So again, 5-year warranty, 6 months on the probe. If you look after your probe, if you clean it, if you hydrate it well in storage solution and calibrate regularly, you should get 1 to 2 years out of it.
And what do you have on this wall? Because I think you have more products.
Yeah, so and then we go to our Guardian monitor. This is for continually monitoring. You can set a high and low alarm for conductivity, temperature and pH. And then when it's out of range, it just flashes at you. So the idea is you have this on the wall of your growing space. You stick your head around the corner, everything's okay. It's flashing, I need to go and do some attention.
Does it store information somewhere so you can see the history of the results? Or is this just...
Yes. So the basic unit is just a standalone unit. That's about 350 euros. This is about 450 euros. It has the Connect software, so it uses a Zigbee connection to a Connect stick, which goes into a laptop, and then you can do...
monitoring,
you can
data color.
Yeah, you can do data collection, yeah.
Yeah, great.
And then over here we have... This is one of my favourite meters that Bluelab do. This is just a pH controller. This is really designed for hydroponic systems, recirculating systems, DDP systems.
And why is this one your favorite?
It's just very, very simple. So in a recirculating system, your nutrients, you're changing your nutrients every 1 or 2 weeks. Nutrients aren't really your concern. But what really bugs you is the fact that the pH continually rises. So what this does is very simply, you set a target pH and it will just maintain that pH in your recirculating system. Again, you can set a high and low alarm to it, which will notify you if the pH suddenly goes wrong. The pH goes up too high or down too low.
Yeah.
These are Japanese-made medical-grade peristaltic pumps. They're incredibly reliable. If for whatever reason you do need to replace this, you just replace the whole cartridge for about 60 euros. I've been working with Bluelab for over 6 years, and I've never had any problems with these at all. And I've only had to special order probably about six of these pumps for replacements. It's just a very reliable workhorse. But the way this differs to, and the same with our controllers, the way it differs to other meters out there, lots of meters will dose nutrient or pH until the correct level is met. But the problem with that is once the sensor says, okay, the pH is now correct, 5.8, you've been adding in acid, by the time that tank mixes, it's now homogenized in the tank, and usually the pH will drop further or the nutrient will increase further. So what this does is you set an on time, so when it doses, you set the time that it doses, and then you have an off time, which allows it to mix. So it measures, doses, mix. Measures, doses, mix. So you never overshoot if you set it up correctly.
Great.
So it's just a very, again, it's with Bluelab we try and keep things as simple as possible. So this does exactly what it needs to do, and this is a standard version. You also have a Connect version as well, which you'll connect to all the other devices.
Like this? This one is much...
Yeah, so this is our Pro controller. So this is doing the same as the pH controller, but you're controlling your conductivity, so your EC, your pH. You can use it to control temperature, but most water chillers will have their own thermostat. So what this does really is just keep an eye on your chiller. You set a range that you want your water temperature to be, and if your chiller breaks for whatever reason, this will notify you that there's a problem. And then you can have, these are our L3 pumps. These dose 1.2 litres per minute. And these are our M series pumps. These dose 120 millilitres per minute. They come as a bank of 3 or a bank of 4, and you can have up to 12 pumps in a line. So it's incredibly flexible, so it's usually pH down, A and B, and then whatever kind of micronutrients you want. So you can have acid, so pH down, then up to 11 additives or nutrients.
Okay, you can mix them up.
Yeah, and the cool thing about this is it's a multi-ratio system. So all you need to do with the software is put in your laptop. Yeah, so you just...
That's what we need. That's what we need. Is it possible?
So you just put, you know, kind of pump A.
For example, a B
This is
report,
B.
a month report, and
This is my
so
CalMag.
It stores all the data,
Whatever it may be.
Yeah,
And then you
logs
just-
every minute, every 5 minutes, every hour. Whatever
You just put in the numbers on your feed chart. So you haven't got to think about it. You just put in exactly the numbers. As long as the base unit's the same, so millilitres per 10 litres, millilitres per 100 litres, whatever it may be. As long as that base unit is the same, you just put in the readings. And then what it does is it usually at the highest level, so usually A and B are the highest, so that will be 100%. So when it doses, that pump will be on for 100% of the time. But then the CalMag is the 50% ratio. So whenever this pump goes, this pump will go for 50% of the time. And then it will do the same with whatever other additives. And so also whenever it doses in the correct ratio all the time.
Up to 12 devices, right?
12 pumps, so that'll be pH down, which will be 1, and then 11 others.
Yeah. Okay.
And because it works as a ratio, even if your additive doesn't have an EC value, it will still dose it in the correct ratio as a proportion of A and B.
What do you think is the future of your company? Where do you want to go next few years?
Well, like everyone else, we had a very busy 2020 and 2021. There's a lot of demand, both in the hobby market space, but also in vertical growing. You know, the lack of air travel, so people were starting to grow and thinking about growing sustainably, locally. So a lot of vertical growing is going on, a lot of controlled environment agriculture. It conserves water, it conserves nutrients. It's kind of almost organic by default because they're closed systems. So I think that's where we're going to go naturally. Field agriculture is very wasteful, and as our resources get tighter and tighter, controlled environment agriculture is the way to go.
So it seems 2020 and 21 is very good year for you.
Yeah. So lots of everyone.
You follow the innovations.
Yes, and we're constantly innovating as well. So, you know, keep an eye on Bluelab. We've got some interesting stuff coming out through 2022 and into 2023. We're going to be updating a lot of our software. We're going to be bringing in some new products. So just watch this space.
Okay.
Bluelab.com.
Yeah. And it's working.
Just for clarity, you wouldn't usually, you can't have two different pump sizes. This is purely for display. So if you go for the L series, you can only have up to 9 L series. If you go for the M series, you have up to 12 pumps.
Yeah.
You can't mix and match.
Yeah. Makes sense.